At the end of my high school year, I had the opportunity to go on a youth trip to Nauvoo and the other church history sites in the area. This trip was particularly different from ones I'd taken with my family in the past because we got to stay in the Nauvoo house, a place that was commanded in the scriptures to be built for travelers. As I stayed with my other fellow young men and young women, we enjoyed seeing the sights, but one particular experience came an evening in which we all decided to play night games. While playing Kick the Can, I chose a particular hiding spot up high in a tree. There in that tree, I stayed away from everybody else. As I gazed out on this historical area, I noticed the fireflies coming out and dancing in the area, which only added to the majesty and the history of the place. While turning around in the tree, I noticed that this particular tree was in fact in Joseph Smith's own very front yard. A yard that he probably played many games himself with children and youth, much like I was doing with my friends that night. I gazed over the rooftop and noticed the Nauvoo temple that evening, rebuilt hundreds of years after it had been destroyed. That moment, the Spirit testified to me that this indeed was the Church of Jesus Christ, that what Joseph Smith said he saw was true. He did have that first vision in which he saw God the Father and Jesus Christ. Later that week, we actually got to go inside the Nauvoo temple and perform baptisms. While inside, my stake president pulled me aside and I was actually interviewed to receive the Melchizedek priesthood. In fact, that evening, I was ordained an elder on the banks of the Mississippi, much like my relatives and other church historical figures in that famous town. That memory was only strengthened as I walked arm in arm with my friends and my leaders up the hill to the Nauvoo temple, in which we're able to sing the hymns of the restoration, testify ourselves with those hymns that Jesus Christ lives, that this is His church, and that Joseph Smith restored it and that Russell M. Nelson leads it today. That experience, all those many years ago, while sitting in a tree, only helped solidify this memory in my mind to help me remember that these things are true.